And as we look at women and what they do in their lives, on one side, regardless of who the woman is, they're so able to love and nurture and lift their loved ones up. They give so much of themselves, they go empty. And nobody in their life ever stops to think, I need to turn around and fill the cup for this woman, right? Not the husband, not the children. And the minute you say you want something or today you're tired, it's like, oh Lord. I always see when a mother sits down for 5 minutes and goes through her phone, everybody in the family asks why you have nothing to do. It's like, you guys sit and do this all day. I work nonstop. I do this for 5 minutes and you want to know why I'm not working. So this is the reality for a woman. And it takes a lot of self-confidence away because the subtext is you don't matter, we matter. So welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I take tremendous joy and honor week after week to feature different women to talk about what they are facing in life. How are they being supported? How are they supporting others? And how are they investing in themselves and in other women and allowing other women to invest in them so that life happens and life moves forward? A woman's life is only as powerful as the community she builds around her. And the woman's joy comes from that community. You know what they say, the success of a man's life is completely predicated in the woman in his life. But for women, it is their sisterhood, it is their community. And our goal, our mission through these conversations is to feature, highlight, and amplify the voice and message of women and bring support to their causes and truly build a sustainable community of women globally, because it doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what language we speak, what we look like, what we do. All it matters is that we show up for one another, we support one another, and we celebrate one another. You are going to absolutely love our guest today. Take it away, Robin.
All right. I am so excited to have Nina DeAngelo as our guest. And I have actually never met Nina, but I keep my eyes peeled and always spying for someone that we can have as a guest on our program. Always looking at magazines and articles and announcements to see women who are uplifting other women. And I got an announcement about a book, Still Perfectly Imperfect. And imperfect was spelled like I'm perfect. So imperfect, I'm perfect. I love the title. And then I looked through it just a little bit and found that it was written by an anthology, all women authors writing about important elements in their life. And I thought, oh my gosh, we need to have the head author on our show. So looked her up on LinkedIn. Nina DeAngelo, and we're so thrilled to have you as our guest. And so tell us a little bit, what was the genesis of creating this book, and how did you come up with that title, Still, Perfectly Imperfect?
Well, thank you, Robin, and thank you, Cass. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me today. Well, to be honest, my co-sponsor, Tara Hurst, and myself are high school friends. We lost connection after graduation, reconnected on our 30-year class reunion anniversary. And then we just kind of sat down and had conversations with one another. She was in the health and wellness space and I was in the mindset space. So we both had a lot of positivity backing us and things that we wanted to do as far as uplifting people and encouraging people to kind of go after their dreams and things of that nature. And then that is where the Perfectly Imperfect platform was born. We both wanted to write a book. And so we said, why don't we just partner? And why don't we find out what it's going to take to do that? So we contacted an author friend of ours and she kind of explained it all to us. And that's when the very first book, Perfectly Imperfect, came out back in October. And then we launched this one, Still Perfectly Imperfect, in June of this year. And really what it is we all embrace the fact that we're not perfect, right? A lot of us women run in the world like we've got to be perfect about everything. And it causes so much chaos in our heads and our hearts, within our bodies. And we just wanted to have a platform where women can come and express themselves, be uplifted, and feel safe in an environment where they can actually talk about the things that might be causing them some rift in their life at the moment.
So it's interesting where the friendship led to doing something together. And that is how women work, right? Women work in allyship. Women work when we feel supported. As you went through the process of this book, I understand from our earlier conversation, there were 40 women who contributed to this book. How did you bring the women together? And how was that journey like to work with 39 other women to bring each woman's pivotal moment forward?
Yeah, it's really a great story. So in the first book, we probably had more no's than we had yeses when we were out there talking with women about, hey, this is our idea. We're looking for women who would like to share their stories, pivotal moments in their life where they've gone through something, and they made it through the other side, still intact, if you will. And how did you do that? Because we truly believe that everyone's story is someone else's blueprint to something that's happening in their life at the moment. So to learn and to contact the women to be in this project, the first one was a lot of work. It was a lot of footwork. And then when it went #1 international, and we announced we were doing a second one, we had a whole lot of interest. So the second one, we had a lot in the beginning that were interested, and then it took a little while to kind of get the other 40 or the last, we'll say 10 or 12 in the second book. But I mean, I feel like it's because the platform is so inviting. We do have a Facebook group that's tied to the platform of Perfectly Imperfect. That is a Facebook group that you can ask to join, where we just do empowerment and uplifting, inspirational things all day long. Just really understanding that we're not alone in this world, right? Us women go through a lot of things, and we're emotional beings, and sometimes those emotions drag us down into the whirlpool of ick, if you will. And sometimes we need that community, as you touched on earlier, Cass, about we need that community to help maybe recognize that we're in that whirlpool and to help pull us out of it. So that's really the intention behind the platform.
You know, I love what you just said. I thought I jotted it down. That trying to be perfect creates a lot of chaos in your head and in your heart. That's really a fascinating notion, because you think about perfection as having all your ducks lined up, everything all nice and neat, but yet the attempt to do that just creates more chaos. So I'm wondering, was there a thread of that? Was there a thread running through the story, a thread of commonality running through the stories, where that manifested itself, or just any kind of common thread that ran through your stories?
Yeah, the most common thread is the fact that women tend to lack in the self-confidence space, the self-belief space. And a lot of the stories ruminate around they didn't have the confidence to leave a certain situation, or they didn't have the confidence to move out of a certain situation that might have been affecting them. So, and it's really about, you have to believe in yourself and love yourself enough to pull yourself out of that situation, because nobody's going to do it for you. I like to tell my clients when I'm coaching, when you're in the jar, you can't see the label. So coaches, as we are, right, we will pull you out of that jar once in a while, let you look at that label, you decide whether you like it or not, we'll put you back in, and you get to do the work to get out. So that's an analogy I love to use, because I think that really hits with a lot of people, because they understand, oh, we go through our lives with these blinders on, right? And so I think women just really do, at most women in their lives will suffer from some sort of lack of confidence and lack of self-belief. And I think most of these stories in the two books really kind of, that's the key element that comes up the most.
I love the analogy of helping them come out of the jar, look at it, and then go back. Because literally, to me, the image that's coming up is you're reminding them that they are the genie in the bottle, and they
Yes.
need to embrace their genie and come out and just be as flourishing, right? And as we look at women and what they do in their lives, on one side, regardless of who the woman is, they're so able to love and nurture and lift their loved ones up. They give so much of themselves, they go empty. And nobody in their life ever stops to think, I need to turn around and fill the cup for this woman, right? Not the husband and not the children. And the minute you say you want something or today you're tired, it's like, oh Lord. I always see when a mother sits down for 5 minutes and goes through her phone, everybody in the family asks, why, you have nothing to do? It's like, you guys sit and do this all day. I work nonstop. I do this for 5 minutes and you want to know why I'm not working. So this is the reality for a woman. And it takes a lot of self-confidence away because the subtext is you don't matter, we matter. So keep serving us. How can we as women help women see a different perspective so that they fill their cup and we fill each other's cup?
Yeah, it is a journey for sure. Those of us who have suffered with the low self-esteem, lack of confidence, honestly, no self-love, it is something that you have to teach yourself over time, right? Like I always tell people, we are born a perfect human being. We don't know what fear is. We don't know what any of that stuff is. That is all stuff that's taught to us throughout our years. And to be able to be aware of that, and that's super important, is the awareness piece. And then reverse it, basically. I always call it flipping the switch. So if you're having a negative thought about yourself, take a moment, breathe. What is the exact opposite of what you're telling yourself right now? So if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm so stupid because I did blah, okay, stop. Be aware that you just said that to yourself. And then flip that switch. What is the exact opposite of that? I am smart. I am intelligent. I do have good thoughts. So it's really about the awareness piece, flipping the switch and training your brain into the positive space versus the negative space that we all have been exposed to for, gosh, my journey didn't start till I was 46 and I'm 51 now. So it's been, you know what I mean? It was a long journey up to the point where I was like, man, something's got to give. This cannot be all life has to offer for me. So it's really love yourself so unconditionally that whenever you are having a conversation with somebody else, that love just spills out into that conversation and that energy is given to that other person.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What you just said is filling yourself up, taking the time and the mental space to fill yourself up, and then share that will naturally spread out to other people. I'm always curious to know some of the challenges that our guests have had. And so what were some of the challenges you faced externally in pulling this book together? I know you mentioned you're trying to find contributors to the book, but some of the other challenges that you faced externally, and then what were some of the internal challenges that you faced in creating this book and then creating another book, the first book and then the second book?
Yeah. So some of the external circumstances around it where, is just finding women who are willing and ready to share their story. And some of them will right off the bat, oh, we're ready, right? And they get into the process of it with the writing coach and all the people that are in the background to help make this a reality. And sometimes they get stuck where they're at and they get scared and they're like, well, wait a minute, maybe this isn't what I want. So it's having a conversation around, this is a safe space for you to share whatever this trauma is in your life that you've gone through. And also, in order to release the trauma, you have to face the trauma. You have to feel it. You have to go through it, all the things. And writing is such a strong, powerful outlet to whenever you're trying to, overcome something that you've been through. So that was some of the things that we faced while we were developing the book. And for me, my chapter in the second book, Still Perfectly Imperfect, is about my identity being stolen. And I'm not talking about my social security number getting stolen. And if you want to know what the book's about, you're going to have to buy it, or the chapter's about, buy the book and read the chapter. But it is a pivotal time in my life that brought me to where I am right now. And if I had to do it all over again, would I change anything? Absolutely not. Because that particular incident in my life brought me to who I am right now. And I'm very happy with who I am right now. And I love the person that I've become. So part of my own internal struggle during the creation of the books was, oh my gosh, are we going to get enough authors? Are we going to have enough interest? Are we going to make #1 international? And all the things that come along with that. I catch myself in that space. And then I immediately tell myself, okay, we're going to manifest this because this is something that is so important for women to understand that we have this inner strength that is so beautiful and so powerful, that if we just believe in ourselves enough and love ourselves enough, we'll find it. We'll find it, and we can share it with the other ones who are kind of in that space of not having that belief system. So
I truly appreciate the journey. And as women tell their stories, they are going through a cathartic process. They are looking at themselves from the outside in. And the way you have explained this book journey is also putting them in the spot to think about choices and consequences and course correction of those consequences, because that's life, right? And how did it feel for the women to go through that process and come to the realization that when I made the choice, there were no perfect choices, but look at who I have become, because that struggle has allowed me to polish myself into the gem that I have become.
mm. Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, a lot of the feedback after the books were launched from the authors were, I didn't realize how stuck in my stuff I was until I wrote about it. I didn't realize how powerful I am until I wrote about it. Oh my gosh, this was such a healing process for me. Some were scared to death and still went through it because they were like, I don't know if I want my family to read what I'm writing about. And lo and behold, I have not had one author come back and say their family was disappointed. More times than not, they come back and say, okay, they read it and they were like, they didn't believe what it was I was going. They didn't understand that's what I was going through, or they didn't see it that way. And that they were very grateful and thankful that I brought that to light. And it started the healing process, not only with the writer, but now the writer's family, or whatever that is that's entailed in that. So I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of the feedback has been definitely very positive on the journey. Has been such a great journey, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I do.
Yeah,
So
that's really beautiful. You know, what's coming up for me to hear you talk about that is the ripple effect. And do you have any other examples of this rippling effect of the book becoming a catalyst for other things that for yourself and other people that you may never have even realized were possible, or were completely out of, not even considering it?
yeah, we've had several different women who have decided to go on and write their own individual book from this. This has given them kind of a taste of what it's going to be like to be able to get out there and tell the story. So several books have launched from both of these. And I go and I do speaking engagements. So if there is a conference, women's empowerment group, I don't know, I'm not picky, to be honest. If somebody wants me to come in and talk about mindset and the books and how the books came to be and all the things that come along with that, I'm happy to come and share that knowledge. Because when I started my journey in the mindset space and I started to understand that, my gosh, my life is all about the choices I've made, and I take personal responsibility for me, whole world just started to look different for me, and it started to get better, and it started to just make sense.
I'm so glad to hear how it has helped you in your journey. And truly, the rule number one to be happy is, if you want a happy life, build a happy life for others, and you will find yours, right? So that's exactly what you're doing. And it's amazing how time flies when we're having this wonderful conversation. So before we go any further, I want you to take a moment and share with our audience how they can get a hold of you and how they can get their hands on this book. And then in closing, what nugget of wisdom you have for women and the, supportive men in the women's lives on how to help every woman to find her perfect place in this imperfect world.
Yeah, so you can actually reach me. I'm on Facebook. It's Nina DeAngelo. I'm also on Instagram under the same. It's Nina DeAngelo. My email is nina@dynamicshiftconsulting.com. So if you want to reach out to me via email, you can do that as well. And I guess just have a space, just hold a space of love and understanding for those around you, because sometimes we get into a space where we don't have that for ourselves. And if we just hold that space long enough for that person to get there, then life is beautiful. Life is so beautiful whenever you can hold space for others, because not only are you helping that person heal, you're healing yourself along that journey. And to me, that is the most rewarding thing of being a speaker and a coach, is when I can sit with someone and help them through whatever they're going through. I'm literally helping myself at the same time. And that it's just a win-win all the way around. So just hold space of love and understanding for those in your life. Have patience and grace. That's hard for a lot of us, because if you can't hold it for yourself, you're not going to hold it for others around you. So please, that's my top takeaway, is hold patience and grace, and just hold a space of love for people when they're going through stuff.
Thank you so much, Nina. This has been such a deeply, deeply healing and meaningful conversation, because Robin and I, as women, we all go through this day after day. And to hear from your perspective how you are helping women heal when they think that healing is not possible or they don't need healing. And thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for sharing this. And I know there are going to be audience members who are going to want to connect with you and see if you're going to write another book, if they can be a part of that journey. And stay in touch with us, stay in touch with the community. When you decide to do another book, we will be happy to promote this across the community and bring additional voices to the conversation. And to our audience out there, ladies, we are all perfectly created for our imperfectly possible life. There are no perfect choices. There are choices. And when we have the right support system, any risk, any gaps, there are other women and men who are allies who will show up to fill those gaps. All we have to do is confidently take that first step forward, and the rest of the way will show up for us. So please make sure you go out there and embrace yourself. And when you have the opportunity, go buy this book, because you'd be surprised how it can inspire you and ignite you to live your perfectly imperfect life with every ounce of joy that is humanly possible.